Hey, it's Heidi. Welcome back for another video. Da, 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 da. I'm so glad that you're here. I don't know why, I just get really excited, especially about today's topic, the 8 different types of codependence. Why am I doing this video? Well, because codependency is like one of the most misunderstood things. And in fact, when I ask people, hey, like, what is codependency? Or they ask me, it's like everybody's kind of scratching their head with one flavor. It's like we've in the ice cream shop, we've got all these flavors, but everybody's like, "What's vanilla? That's what it is. I'll just take the vanilla." But you're missing all these different flavors that everybody brings to the table. And why is it so important? Well, if you're new here, hi, I'm Heidi. Welcome home. I'm glad you're here. On this channel is dedicated to equipping you and empowering you with the resources and tools that you need to have the relationships you deserve and the life PS that you deserve. And we talk about all things codependency here, all things toxic relationship recovery. And I'm really glad you're here. So why is this so important is because, as little kids, we grow up in environments that sometimes aren't the best. Sometimes they're complicated, complex, or hurtful, or destructive, or dysfunctional, or addicted, or narcissistic. And we think, well, thank God that's over. And here I am, I kind of survived. But that's where codependency starts. Codependency starts in these early family dynamics where we're born into this kind of dysfunctional family and we go look around and go, how do I survive, thrive, connect, or cope in this family? And then we develop a personality. We put on like a mask and we go, this is the way you do love. This is who I need to be in order to either get love or at least be left alone. And we take these patterns into our lives. So I'm going to reveal the 8, to sound like a magician, I'm going to reveal to you the 8 different personality patterns. I call them attachment personality patterns. Now, I'm not the first person to talk about codependence, right? There's a lot of people that discuss this, but the thing is like I've found a way that resonates with me to explain it, and it's resonating with you too. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you again for all your messages and likes and comments. Please keep them coming. If you like this video, in fact, it helps us help more people because it gets seen, okay, by more people. So when I talk about codependence, I say, what is codependency? What is a codependent person? 9 times out of 10, we picture this kind of sad person that's very needy, doesn't know what they think, doesn't know how they feel, and needs constant approval, affirmation, attention, affection. And we picture like a stage 5 clinger, right? Or just like a very needy person in general. And that's how codependence kind of gets a bad rap. And we go, well, I'm not codependent. I'm definitely not codependent because I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody. Okay. Well, codependency takes on 8 different types. And by the way, if you want to dive into these types, and I'm just giving a broad overview right now, go to lovecoachheidi.com. On my website, you will find my latest book, Attachment Personality Patterns, Identifying Your Unique Codependency Patterning, and Attachment Personality Patterns, Identifying Your Unique Codependency Programming, and you can download that book for free. So I'm going to give the overview. So yes, I just described the first personality, which is the clinging personality. The clinger is somebody who doesn't realize the unavailability of the people they're attracted to, and they end up picking people that aren't available and like racking their brain trying to figure out how to get this person to love me. They're terrified of abandonment, the traditional ways that we think about codependence. We can also think about the people pleaser, the second pattern, as a traditional type of codependent, where it's like Coming to America, the original, which was better than the second, I think. But the woman comes down the aisle to marry Eddie Murphy, and he's like trying to get to know her, and he's like, what kind of movies do you like? And she's like, whatever kind of movies you like. He's like, well, what kind of food do you like? Whatever food you like. Well, and then by the end of the scene, he has her like barking like a dog and hopping on one foot. And people pleasers learn very early on in their life that they have to sacrifice their own needs, values, and desires in favor of the opinions, values, and ideas of other people. They withhold their thoughts and opinions when they differ from other people for the fear of being rejected or disliked. And so a lot of what they do in their life is about gaining the approval of people. And again, they're the sacrificial lamb. Everything they want goes to the wayside. Maybe you can relate to that, right? A clinger and a people pleaser are two extremely common patterns of codependence. But then we start looking at these other less common ways of thinking about codependence, and we get into the third pattern, which is a controlling codependent. Now, we don't think of codependency because we're like, oh, a controlling person like doesn't need anybody. You know, they're a person like, but controlling people need people to control. And this is a person that attempts to convince people how to think, how to behave, and how to feel. And they can be highly manipulative kind of people. They can actually use charm and charisma as a way to control people, to enroll people in their ideas. But a controlling codependent is like, it's my way or the highway. You get on my train or off my track, and if they can't control you, they will find other people to control. Controllers often cross into that line of like narcissistic patterning types, right? People that really like it's all about them at the end of the day, and if they can't control you, they're on to the next person, whoever that they can. As long as you play by the rules of the controlling codependent, you're in good favor or good standing. But the minute you break the rules, it's like they'll use gaslighting or shame or blame or guilt in order to enroll you back into their way, and you need to see it how I see it, and you're just mistaken. No, you misinterpreted me. No, you didn't you're not hearing, you know, it's that kind of a thing where you're left often with a controlling codependent thinking, scratching your brain going, am I crazy? Like Melody Beattie said a long time ago, if it feels crazy, it probably is. But a controlling codependent is so good, right? That they really do a mind scramble on you. And so maybe you've been in relationships with controlling codependents. Often you'll find that controlling codependents attract people-pleasing codependents, and there's a match made in heaven between these two, right? It's like, I'm going to do what you say, and I'm going to control you. But the minute the people-pleaser gets their chutzpah, finds their mojo, and it's like, I don't want to play by these rules anymore, boy, now it's a relationship blow up, okay? So let's look at another type of codependent. We have here the withholding codependent. Now again, you might think, well, they don't need anybody. They're like a loner. It's like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'm a loner, Dottie, a rebel. You know, they don't. People that are withholding codependents see vulnerability as weakness. Now, different than a controller who cuts themselves off and doesn't care how you feel or think or whatever. It is not interested in that. There's a lack of empathy there. Withholders have a lot of feelings, but they're afraid to express them. They think if they tell you how they think and what they feel, they believe it'll be used against them somehow. So they want to keep their feelings to themselves. But believe me, withholders feel very, very deeply. A withholder is a type of person who wants to be close to you, or you want to be close to somebody else, but you keep people at an arm's distance. You just want to keep them so far. It's like, come here, but not that close, you know. But you're longing for this intimacy, but withholders do things like create little distancing techniques. In fact, you might have a breakthrough with a withholding codependent, and think, wow, we got so close last night. We shared all of our thoughts and feelings, and then the next morning they do something to blow it up because they have an intimacy hangover and they want to restore the balance and they want to pull back from you. So withholders are always like chasing and pulling. Now, who does a withholder attract? Who do you think? I already said that personality type, a clinger. Clingers and withholders are like match made in hell because one's always chasing and one's always pulling, and then this one will pull and this one will chase, and they do this dance forever. I'm going to be making lots of other videos on codependence and relationships and how they match up, because that's what codependency is. It's like, well, I'm not codependent, Heidi, they are. Well, codependency is codependent. We need each other, and we don't understand. We have our own brand of crazy, or our own flavor of dysfunction that we bring to the party to make this dance happen. Ooh, ooh, okay, get it? All right. The next one is a fixing type of codependent, where you have caseloads instead of friends. All right, you're like, man, you're the rock. Everybody comes to you for advice all the time. But actually, like when you turn around and you need people, it's like crickets. Nobody's there for you. And you kind of set it up that way, because if you're really honest with yourself, focusing on other people's problems fills you up and it distracts you from working on yourself. If you're really honest, you might not see it that way, but fixers are the hero. They like to run in and swoop in and save the day. And they often find people that need their help, and they get value and affirmation from actually helping people, and it feels really good. But fixers often are wrecking their personal lives, and they don't know how to like channel that desire to fix and help. You don't fix anybody, but desire to like help people. They don't channel it into a career necessarily. I mean, some do. Some fixers become therapists or psychologists or coaches or healers and helpers. But an unhealed fixer will be running that game in their personal life, and it'll be very exhausting and overwhelming. You'll feel anxious all the time and taken advantage of, just like the people pleaser does, right? Because you're always giving and giving and giving, and when you try to like get it reciprocated, it just doesn't. So you end up feeling really resentful. Often people don't take your advice that you're giving when you're trying to help them, so that leads to resentment as well. Now the next personality is the victim type of codependent. Now this type of person, you give them all the, now who do they hook up with? Quick, fixers and victims, match made in hell, right? Two of them hook up together because a fixer is like, oh, I can help you see the light. And a victim is like, nothing works. I've tried everything. You just don't understand how bad it is for me. I mean, that might work for somebody else, but it's really not going to work for me. And I am the way I am because of this. And a victim refuses to use the tools. They're like treatment resistant. Sometimes victims don't see themselves as the victim because they're blaming everybody else. The responsibility is outside of themselves. My hands are tied. There's nothing I can do. Oftentimes the victim role is played by one of the most dysfunctional of the codependents because they'll be actively addicted. And guess who loves that to take on that project and challenge? Heroes and fixers. Attract addicts, alcoholics, people that are in and out of doing well because they get the satisfaction of thinking that they're helping change their life, when ultimately the only way an addict or an alcoholic changes their life is when they take control of it themselves and change it, right? But they attract each other. So victims and fixers, whoop, perfect, right? And then we have a perfectionist personality. And this is somebody who has very high standards. Nobody ever meets their expectations. Nobody can meet their expectations, including themselves. And oftentimes this type of codependent is a person that starts projects but can't see them through. They start things but don't finish because it's never quite good enough. And underneath of all this, like, they might look good and shiny from the outside, but a perfectionist really is tortured inside. There's constant self-judgment, not only self-judgment without mercy, but judging other people without mercy. And nobody ever measures up. They're like the warden in the household pointing out everybody else's imperfections. Now, where a fixer can notice a problem and want to fix it, perfectionists notice problems and complain about it, right? Where there is like, well, they just need to get their stuff together. A lot of projection will go from a perfectionist to other people. Just kind of like a fixer will go and try to get outside of themselves with other problems. Perfectionist pastime is looking at other people's faults because it really, again, distracts them from their own. And perfectionists can really be a paralyzing codependent position because nobody ever quite measures up. You find yourself very lonely all the time because nobody's meeting your expectations, and it's like nobody ever will. Like a victim thinks that too, right? Like nobody gets me and understands me. A perfectionist thinks nobody's ever going to rise to my occasion. Well, no way, honey. Nobody can get up there. The standards are, like Tony Robbins says, perfectionism is the lowest standard you can possibly hold for yourself. Why? Because you never get there. Okay. And then the last pattern that we're going to, I think I talked about all of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. The last one is one that nobody really wants to be. Nobody wants to be any of these, but the last one in particular, and that is the pretending pattern. The pretender. I also call this the performer because it sounds nicer than pretender. A lot of people are like, I'm not a fake. I'm me. But what pretenders do is they live their life like a people pleaser through the eyes of everybody else. But a people pleaser is doing that because they want to be liked. They want to have relationships, right? Like a people pleaser sacrifices themselves and puts on a show, so to speak, for the relationship, where a pretender and a performer puts on a show because they want to be held in high esteem. So pretenders and performers are all about, look at me, I'm so great. It's an inflated type of low self-esteem problem. They are constantly, they'll sacrifice themselves, but what they like, but they'll look to see what everybody else likes to make sure that they're keeping up with the trends, that everybody can say, oh yeah, they're trying to be the cool kid all the time. There's a real level of like, you can look at somebody like that and say, man, they are so inauthentic. And it'll really piss off some of the other personalities that are like, especially like a withholder who can like see through people's bullshit. They don't really do anything with it, but the holders like are observers. They notice everything about everybody all the time, but they keep it all inside here. But pretenders and performers put on a show. They're the ones like they're trying to blow up their Instagram. They buy the followers. They don't have any. Their relationships are very superficial and surfacey type of codependence. They don't have deep level connections because nobody really kind of gets to know them because they're always fine. They're always putting on a show. Like a withholder has emotion and you can get to it. A pretender just needs to be fine all the time, and they put on a happy face. Withholders will just be quiet and silent. Pretenders will actually put on a show to make it look like something other than it is. I'm doing great. I'm fine. Our kids are excelling in school. The marriage is great. And then a week later, they're getting divorced. And you're like, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Okay, you're like, what happened there? But because they've been pretending so long, they don't show anybody what's really going on because it's all about optics. It's an optical delusion of what's really going on. And a lot of the times, actually, believe it or not, performers and perfectionists hook up because perfectionists want things to, be a certain way, and performers are ready to like just make it look good too. So they kind of like two peas in a pod can get together. All right. Now look, this is so much information. Heidi, you just like dumped out all these personalities on me today. I did. Take a breath. Now, if you want all these personalities in one place, go download my book on lovecoachheidi.com, Attachment Personality Patterns, Identifying Your Unique Codependency Programs. All right. And if you want more help and you say, oh my God, I think I'm this pattern, you can also houlihan around on YouTube. And I have a playlist called Attachment Personality Patterns where you can watch each one of these in detail with the 5 core traits of each one. It's like I just created my own little diagnostic manual. Now, however, I'm not a psychologist, okay? I'm not a therapist. I'm a master coach. That I don't deal in pathology like a therapist. Like codependency isn't in the DSM, okay? So as a coach, I feel qualified and equipped to talk about your patterning. I'm not talking about pathology here. You're not sick. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. There's patterns and ways you're behaving in the world and in your relationships that are likely holding you back and keeping you stuck. So I want to help you identify this. It's not a label like a pathology, like your borderline personality disorder, okay? Or you're this or you're that. It's like, oh, I've been a withholder in my relationships, but that's who you've been, not who you are. Remember, attachment personality patterns are who you've needed to be, not who you really are. What we do in the work of recovery from codependence is we remove those masks. Maybe you've been more than one. You've been a controller and a withholder. You've been a fixer and a withholder. You've been a people pleaser and a clinger and a withholder. You've been all of these patterns. So we're going to remove them systematically, one at a time, to reveal the true self. Like Michelangelo has said, when he sculpts something like David or an angel, he sees it and then he chips away everything that's not David or not the angel. And that's the same with us, right? Your core is in there. I have this program, a school that I've created to actually unravel codependency and get to your true authentic self. It's called Love Yourself First Empowerment School, Life School, really great acronym, right? But why is it love yourself first? It's not the egoic self. It's not the masks that are this ego kind of function. It's your true capital S self inside. Your radiant divinity, you're born for love, your authentic nature inside, but your authentic nature inside, and that's what we want to reveal. If you're curious about that, so you can reclaim your true power, your real identity, uncover who you really are, learn to speak and find your truth, find out what you really want for a change and meet those needs and really have the life that you deserve because it's finally your turn, then go ahead and check out Life School, send a message, schedule a consultation, and let's get started, all right, on your healing journey to overcome codependence. I love you. I hope you have the best day of your life today. That's what I tell my daughter every day before she leaves for school in the morning. I hope you have the best day ever. I want you to start the process. Okay, information is one thing, but again, information without action is just, it's the difference between knowing and doing. All right, let's move into the do once we know. Love you so much. Take excellent care of yourself. Have a great day. Subscribe, like, share the love. All right, see you soon. Bye.